This was a nerve-wracking and exciting week for the Hall home build. Between anxiously waiting to hear from the bank about our loan approval, working with the real estate attorney to record the easement agreement, and then having our very first site visit with our custom home builder. Here's what happened this week and some of our tips. It is Monday, April 6th, and we are just anxiously waiting to hear from the banks. Last week we submitted several loan applications and now we're just in the waiting stages. So I'm just trying to kill time. I'm gonna probably drive myself crazy this week, but this is so much riding on this week, getting our loan approval, and then also we're meeting with the builder on Wednesday, and he's fingers crossed, hopefully by the end of the week we'll have our guesstimate for what our house is gonna cost. So this week is huge. I don't even know how I'm gonna sleep tonight. I thought I would share with you are a couple tips that we've learned throughout this process of applying for a loan. So if you are planning to buy or build in the next, say, 2 to 3 years, maybe these are some things that will help you prepare for that step or prepare for that process. The first step or part, I guess, of the loan application process, when you're working with the lender, they are going to be looking at your income. And the way they will look at it is they're going to take your last 2, possibly 3 years of average income. And so this is especially important for you business owners or self-employed people out there, if you're a 1099 employee contractor, because you know, as a business owner, typically my goal is to write off expenses and ultimately reduce my taxable income. So when it comes time to filing and paying for taxes, I don't have to pay as much out of pocket. It's totally legal, but this is just a standard thing that you want to be able to write off as much as you can usually and pay less taxes. The flip side of that, which can hurt you, is if you write too much off and then let's say you fast forward to go applying for a loan and they look at your taxable income and all of a sudden you don't have enough taxable income to qualify because you wrote off too much, too many expenses. So that's the first tip. You just want to be careful and do your research if you're going to be applying for a loan in, let's say, 2 or 3 years, that you kind of have a budget in mind ahead of time, and then that way you can file the appropriate amount or show the appropriate amount of income on your taxes each year. So that is my first tip. And I've been working with lenders and asking a lot of questions over the last couple years about how much income do we need to show to apply for, you know, X amount for a construction loan. And so that really helped prepare us to get to this process of actually applying for the loan and getting started. The second big thing that lenders are going to look at is your debt to income ratio. So they're going to be looking at all of your outstanding debts. And I personally believe there's good debt and bad debt to carry. Let's say, for example, good debt being a mortgage. Let's say for us, we own a rental property with a mortgage. And the tenants in there, they make their monthly rental payments. It covers our expenses, it covers the mortgage payment, and we're getting positive cash flow. And with that mortgage, it's such a low interest rate, and our home is building equity. And so in my mind, that is what I would consider a good debt. Bad debt are those nasty little credit cards that have 16 to 25, 30% interest. That is bad debt, and we are so thankful that this year we were actually able to pay off all of our debt. You know, I've been in business almost 5 years now and have accumulated debt over the years, having a new business, and life just happens. But if you're able to keep your credit card debts at a low balance or no balance, then that's even better. So when it comes time to apply for a mortgage, if you are able to pay off outstanding credit card debts or, you know, school loans, anything like that, just be aware that they are going to be looking at those things. So obviously you want to keep your debts to a minimum because they are going to be, you know, looking at your debt to income ratio, and there is a percentage that basically you cannot exceed in order to qualify for that loan. And so those are really the two main things I would suggest. Again, I'm not a lender, I'm not a mortgage broker, so there's definitely more involved than that, but those are just a couple tips of things that we've learned about through our process. And I especially wanted to share that if you are self-employed, because that is a huge factor when it comes time to doing your taxes and then, you know, showing income and stuff to apply for a loan. So that's where we're at now. We have a meeting with the builder on Wednesday, and really so much is riding on what we find out this week. So we're just waiting to see if we got approved for our loan at the amount that we applied for, or whatever that amount is. And then also getting the guesstimate from the builder to see, you know, how much this house is gonna cost and comparing that with our budget and everything. So we're just waiting, and I'll keep you guys posted when we have another update. Hey friends, well, we got the call we've been waiting on. We talked to a bank and we have been officially pre-approved for financing. So that is a huge step in this process. Just to follow up what I had said earlier about the importance of making sure you've got enough income to prove. Ultimately, everything came down to that. It doesn't matter how much you have in savings. At the end of the day, whatever amount you're applying for your loan, they're gonna look at least 2 years worth of income. They did say, however, once you've been in business, for you business owners, once you've been in business for 5 years, then they can take your current year's income. But if it's less than 5 years, they're gonna take an average of your last 2 years. So we have worked so closely with our bookkeeper and good friend of ours that is a mortgage broker to figure out what that magic number is on how much income we needed to show on our tax return for this year. So the timing, man, the timing that came down perfect, because, you know, we've got to file our taxes this year, but we've been just waiting till this last minute to figure out how much we need to show and not write off too much. So anyway, things just really worked out, but I can't stress that enough. If you are planning on building or buying a home, you know, within the next couple years, that you start thinking about it ahead of time and not, you know, write off too many expenses. That way you can prove your income, because that's definitely the most important step when it comes to financing, that along with your debt to income ratio. The second piece, we had our call with the attorney today about drawing up an easement agreement. So what that is, again, the property that is adjacent to ours, we are going to have to be going through a corner of our neighbor's property to construct our driveway, because on our land, the very front section of the piece that's by the road is very steep, and you can't really do a driveway right there. So we're gonna have to be kind of coming in at an angle across the corner of our neighbor's property. And so in order to do that, we wanna have everything in writing and filed legally, you know, just that way so there's no issues down the road. So we talked with an attorney, got some great information on that, but basically you just wanna draw up an agreement that's both in your favor as the easement owner, as well as the other, you know, let's say your neighboring property, the landowner that's going to be granting the easement on their property. It just really needs to be a mutually beneficial, you know, relationship that is in the best interest of everyone, but also understand the importance of having, you know, certain provisions included, you know, so there's no, you know, possible restrictions to you as, you know, the landowner or the easement owner. But yeah, everything looks pretty good with that. We actually are very fortunate because the person that we bought the land from had already done the survey and already drawn up the plans for the driveway to go in. So that actually saves us probably a couple $1,000s just in survey cost alone, which we'll be saving. So that was really good news, and we're just gonna use his existing survey for the driveway purposes. We're not using his house plans, but we are using that survey, what we'll need, and the legal description of the properties to get our driveway constructed. So that's where we're at. Today's Tuesday, and so we got a lot done today, but that was a huge piece of good news to find out we've been pre-approved for our loan. And next step, we're meeting with the builder tomorrow and gonna try to get our budget in order and the estimate on what the construction cost of the house is gonna be. So we'll do an update for you tomorrow. It's Wednesday, April 8th. We are headed out to the property to meet with the builder for our first site visit, and I'm gonna take you on a little land tour. Picture perfect, you don't need no filter.
I'ma live like I'm alive, like I'm alive, like there's no forever. Gonna ride to the other side of this earth if I wanna. We got this under chance, so little time to waste, so I won't let it pass me by. 'Cause for a moment I'm alive. Yeah, for a moment I'm alive. For a moment I'ma spend my time feeling like every single thing's gonna be alright.
Welcome out to our property. I'm gonna show you around. So here, well, let me start over here. All right, so that is the road, and so I'm standing at the very front of our property looking towards the road, and this is a pretty steep hill right here in the front. And what we will be doing, let me zoom in for you. We'll be putting our driveway in starting down there and then coming in at an angle across the front to come up to the top of the hill. I almost forgot to mention across the street is our private airport. We have, with our property owners association, if you have a plane, of course, or know someone that does, but it happens to be across from our property, and there is a landing strip. Okay, so I'm standing at the top of the hill, and this area right here is our future building site. The previous owner had already done quite a bit of clearing, which is awesome for us. So this is going to be where our house is. Then let me take you down here. So the way the property is kind of set out, this is the top of the hill, and then it kind of goes downhill, and there's a seasonal creek that runs in the bottom of that, and then it goes back up the hill towards the back of the property. So I'll take you out there. This is the right fence line. It's looking at this side, there at this angle. We have some other neighbors on the right side of the property, and there's some kids. They built a little fort. I think we're gonna be friends. Right here I'm standing on the right fence line. You can see the previous owner had also already put in a lot of posts for a fence that goes all the way around the property. But this is about, I would say about the middle, and there's kind of hard to see it, but the Season Creek, which water's not currently flowing, but this is about the middle of the property. And if we go up along this way, this is where it starts to go back up the hill towards the top of the or the back of the property. We lost a couple trees during the winter. One snapped, maybe it was Bigfoot, I don't know. And then this tree, it just got completely uprooted. We've been doing a few little projects out here, and I actually built a little outhouse. Let me show you. Let me take you around the back. So I found this old tree stump and just put up some like sticks and stuff to make a wall in the back. And here's our outdoor party. Here's another view. Now I'm closer to the left side of the property, but standing kind of in the middle looking across that way, and then up the hill will be where our house is going to be built. But here's just another view, and the left fence line is right over here. Here's the left fence line, and our neighbors are actually up through there. That's their barn, and then their house is through those trees you can't really see, but that's their property. So now here's the left fence line, and you can see it starts to go back up that hill, and then it goes towards the back, and then the back is where National Forest is. Now I'm walking back up the hill towards the front of the property. So again, this is just kind of another view, but that's where our house is going to go, right up there. We have the most awesome neighbors. They just stopped by, and we actually had some gifts for them because we met them back in November when we were out here camping for my birthday. And they stopped by, and long story short, we had a very large time that night. They invited us to end up staying at their house, and it was a crazy night. So let's just say we owed them one. And then fast forward to last week, we got stuck out here on our property, and they helped us for like 5 hours trying to get unstuck. So we just dropped them off a few little gifts, but we are so blessed to have the best neighbors here. They're just so sweet, and can't wait to get moved out here. And we got really lucky with awesome neighbors. But now I'm gonna take y'all, I'm gonna go for a little walk. I'm gonna walk to the back of the property. That way y'all can see the back property line, and then there is timberland and national forest behind it. So I'm gonna walk up there too, because there is some amazing views, and I'm just so excited. So right here is about probably 3/4 of the way towards the back of the property, and it had this little clearing, and I thought it would be so cool to have like a little cabin, a little dry cabin or something, nestled in the woods. I think this would just be a perfect spot for a little dry cabin, because you're tucked in the woods. You can kind of see the mountains off in the background that way. Just a cool little spot. They also had this little kind of road cut through the property too, going from the kind of like the front and down in the middle through the back. So that's nice if we ever need to drive up here. One day we're gonna get us a ATV to tootle around on and ride towards the back and ride off into the National Forest. So here I'm standing in the back of the property, and here's the back fence line. I'm pretty much in the middle. So, and then, whew, that hill's a doozy, but have some really, really pretty mountain views from back here. And directly behind our property is public timberland, and then that goes straight off into National Forest. And this is probably the main reason, or the biggest selling point of this property. We were really, really hoping to find a place that backed up to National Forest, and we did. And so it's just so awesome to have all this land literally in our backyard. So I walked out the back of the property. Oh, there's a huge turkey. Let me see if I can get it. It ran off. That was a massive turkey. Let me zoom it out. I just walked to the back of the property, or behind our property, about 5 minutes. And let me show you this view.
Stay here with me. Don't say you have to go. me softly.
When you live on a mountain, just going for a walk on your property is such a workout. Like, I'm already out of breath. I still can't believe that this is literally right in our backyard. So happy. I haven't walked up the top of this mountain yet, but it is definitely on my to-do list.
Setting far too fast. Reminds me where I'm from.
That is our property. Hope you enjoyed it, and we are just so thrilled to finally start this building process. And it's almost 2 o'clock, so we are about to meet with our builder.
I've been losing sleep, spinning all my thoughts around.